Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world watching this this broadcast. I'm Kumar Dattatreyan with Agile Meridian and the Meridian Point, and today I have the distinct pleasure to bring on stage in a minute here Jerrod Zertuche. I think that's how you say his name. He will correct me if I say it wrong, I'm sure. He's a unique voice in parent coaching who bridges the world of science and emotion. As a board-certified behavior analyst with over a decade of experience working with children on the autism spectrum, Jerrod discovered that the secret to transforming family dynamics isn't just in behavior modification, it's in helping parents tap into their natural intuition and emotional intelligence. Through his innovative approach combining behavioral science with emotional healing, he's helping parents break cycles of generational trauma and create lasting connections with their children. His vision to revolutionize parent support by making it as accessible as a neighborhood coffee shop. I could use that. I could have used that. My kids are grown and gone now, but I could have certainly used that. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Jerrod on the show here. Thank you so much for being part of this show, Jerrod. I really, it's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much, Kumar, for the invitation. This is
of course. And you know, this show is sort of themed around this disruption, innovation, and it seems to me that this is very disruptive and innovative, the approach that you've taken. You've really taken a fascinating path from being a board-certified analyst working with children on the autism spectrum to becoming a parent coach. What motivated this change, this transformation?
Yes, great question. So I am a BCBA. I've been working with children on the spectrum for a decade. I love your introduction. Yes. And I found that behaviorism can only go so far as to the amount of progress that, gosh, not only the child or the teenager, but also the parent, the emotional intelligence, emotional awareness, that education can kind of bridge that gap from behaviorism, which can go along, can definitely get the progress, the results. I mean, I've been in it for a while, and I wouldn't be wasting my time if I didn't see progress, if I didn't see results, right? And I just knew that there was a little bit more oomph, and that comes with our thoughts, right? Our cognitive efforts, our cognition skills, and then also our emotions. And so you put them all together, and the bridge from behaviorism to parent coaching, that's where I'm looking to help parents out. And then also when it comes to ABA, the behavioral side of things, there's a third wave of ABA happening right now because there's adults who have had ABA and they've been saying just working on our behaviors can be traumatic. It can cause other issues that, as a behavior analyst, as a professional, I got that ick feeling like I don't want to be related to that. I don't want to be incorporated with that. There's got to be more. There's got to be more certain, like, different types of services that we can implement and datify, quantify, because that's ABA is all about research-based studies, proven. Where's the data? Well, it's hard to quantify emotions, right? It's hard to. So that's kind of where we're at right now in science in general.
So maybe you can define for me, because I'm not in your world. What is behaviorism?
Cool. Yeah. Whoa. Behaviorism. How about that? Behaviorism, well, B.F. Skinner is kind of the godfather of it. It's really looking at a behavior of anything and looking at what the antecedents are, looking at what the behavior is. So the antecedents are what happens just before a behavior occurs, what is the behavior, and then the consequence. And when we're able to look at mainly the antecedent and consequence, because those are external and environmental stimuli that we can, as practitioners, as parents, as people in the child's surroundings and in our own, really, we can analyze our own behaviors. We can prevent behaviors from occurring. We can make other behaviors more likely to occur, depending on what the function is of the behavior. Why do people do the things that they do? I can go a little bit more into it. I love talking about this. So there's 4 functions of behavior: escape, avoidance, right? Number 2, access to tangible or activity. Number 3, attention. And number 4, it's called automatic, or just because it feels good, kind of self-soothing. And there's also a theory out there. There's a 5th, which is control. And then you combine that with emotional intelligence, and you can give parents a lot more to work with and make sense of not only their kiddos' behavior, but our behavior as well.
Okay, so it's behaviorism is really just understanding the environment, that the antecedents, as you put it, that causes a certain behavior, which results in a certain outcome.
Yeah, that's
it. Right.
Yeah.
And then the coaching comes in, being able to understand that, being aware, self-aware of your own behaviors and what may have caused it, and what was the outcome, and then how you can change the inputs, if you will, into this equation so that the behavior is different.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yep.
That's really interesting, because that's kind of what I can see where there's a connection there between behaviorism, I learned something new, and coaching, because that's what coaches do, right? So
100%.
we coach, we observe certain behaviors, and as coaches, you as a parent coach, and me as a leadership coach, executive coach, whatever.
Yeah.
We observe, we look at the behaviors, and we look at the things that may have caused it, the antecedents, whatever caused the environment that have caused it.
Mm-hmm.
And we help that individual become more self-aware so they can change their behavior. Now, you mentioned the 5 types. I don't remember what they all are, but it really resonated with me, especially the control one. I don't know why.
And for me and you, it could probably come second nature. This is something that I've had, ample amount of experience, and it just comes like the back of my hand now. And being in people's homes, in families' homes, and seeing parents do things that make behaviors that they don't want more likely to occur, like their responses to their child's behaviors, and me seeing that and helping them out. Oh, hey, this is another way you could say it. Or, hey, it's time for a transition is going to happen. There's a lot of different examples here. But just very, there's a lot of different ways that we can support children based on this behaviorism model. And then we can go into emotions as well. But I'd say a really good chunk, that I'd say like 75% or something like that off the top of my head, that if parents knew the ABCs, right, antecedent behavior consequences of behaviors, that can help. And then what I've also noticed is, great, yes, I want to do this as a parent. I want to respond to my child this way. However, when stuff hits the fan and my child's having a tantrum, meltdown, crash, whatever you want to call it, I just go into default mode. And I know I'm supposed to do this, or I know I should do this. And these are things that TikToks have told me, podcasts have told me. However, to actually apply it is another conversation, right? And that's where parent coaching and just talking to someone in general can really help with just releasing emotions or things that are taking them back from what they actually want to do.
Yeah. That's really amazing. I mean, there's so much in parallel to the work that you do. The work that you do is so much more important though, because you're helping parents be better parents, really understand their child better, provide an environment where their child can develop emotional intelligence. That's huge.
Yeah.
And of
I
course, the
love the
parents
stories.
themselves. The
Yeah.
parents
I love,
themselves
yeah.
to develop be more self-aware of their own behaviors and the impact that their behaviors are causing, the consequence, the ABCs. I love that, the ABCs. I'm going to remember that because there's such a parallel with the work that I do with people in the workplace, in the corporate workplace, right? The ABCs of what the things that they do and the dysfunction that it causes in the corporate life. You don't have the same consequences, of course. People just come to work, they get paid. In your work, I imagine it's so much more meaningful because you're creating a real disruption in a positive way in that family, in that family dynamic.
Definitely. Yeah. I love the stories I get from parents I support. Just, hey, Johnny's 5 years old and knows when to take a deep breath, or tells me, hey mom, time to blow out the candle, or do some dragon breaths, or kind of make it a kid friendly type of skill. And just the amount of confidence and relief parents feel just through our conversations. I mean, for me, my goal is if they have an issue that they come to me with, they feel way much better after it. Not even just better about that issue, but better and more confident in anything that comes their way. Because with parenting, there's one challenge after the next, depending on the developmental stages of children and teens. And I mean, I love the introduction that you gave me. Well said. The fact that my job is to sharpen those intuition that parents already have. They already have the natural abilities to parent from love, to parent from compassion, empathy. And it's my job to expand their awareness of what options they have that's based on their values and how they see their child as an adult. What kind of skills do they want to impart on them?
Yeah, I wish I'd met you when my kids were young, but then you would have been like a teenager.
They sound like they're doing a great job, man. Go to bar.
No, they are. They're wonderful young adults, and they're very accomplished. And they're kind, and they're
very proud.
Yeah, I'm very proud of them for sure. But as a parent, you always there's things that I regret. I can think back and I wish I'd handled that a little differently. And but anyway, they turned out great. I wanted to ask you
to create more value, Kumar, with this podcast is parents are going to do that. Parent coaches, I'm going to do that. People who work with kiddos, we're professionals and we do it ourselves. We sometimes we do that to ourselves, but at the end of the day, you repair, you say sorry, you take accountability, and then you're teaching them accountability skills. I apologize for this. My mom did an amazing job modeling that for me.
Yeah.
And so, for us to be the bigger person, really,
Sure.
but metaphorically too, to do that also teaches them, hey, we're human too. We can also make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. This is what you do when you make them.
Yeah. No, that's great. In a prior conversation when we met earlier, you mentioned that typical parenting advice like take care of yourself or here's some tools that you can use kind of feels shallow, right?
Sure.
How does your approach dig deeper? I mean, I think I know the answer, but I'd love to hear that from you.
Yeah, I love that. So yes, there's I think of them as shallow as well. That okay, here's some tools, there's some skills you can use. like I said earlier, when stuff hits the fan, it's going to be a lot more difficult for us to think, okay, this is what, so-and-so told me to do when this happens. We're not going to do that. So one of the great things that I fell in love with, because it was so effective for me, was it's called neuro-linguistic programming, NLP for short. Tony Robbins uses it, and I use it with parents to get them to a place in their bodies where they feel the compassion, empathy, the love, the connection. So when stuff does hit the fan, they're so much more prepared for it. And I do this with visualization. I also call it emotional release. And for NLP, there's no storytelling. You don't need to tell me about your past. You don't need to air out your dirty laundry, so to speak. One parent told me, and it's a very safe, obviously confidential space that we're in when we have a conversation. And these aha moments that come from these visualization practices and these practices where getting you into that feeling of what you want to feel like when stuff hits the fan, so you can feel that you're more likely to feel it in the situation. It's a skill. I got to let parents know it is a skill. And just like any other skill, you're not going to do it 100%. And that's great, because we're creating new neurology. We're creating new neural pathways in our brain. And for that to occur and to solidify, we need to practice and practice. And when we're parenting, opportunities to practice can only come so often. So let's just take gym. If you go to the gym, you're actually in control of going to the gym, getting stronger. As a parent, there's no control of getting stronger with our nervous system, because that's really where our calm demeanor comes from, is how strong and how fit our nervous system is. And that's another part of what I practice with parents, is not just meditation, not just breath work, sensory motor activities. I mean, like going to the gym, running, we call it proprioceptive, pressure on our bodies, hugs, right? And also for our little ones too. And then vestibular, balancing, like all those things can really strengthen our nervous system. So when things do hit the fan, it's calm, cool, collected. If there's no threat in the home, it's my kiddo who's having a big emotion. I can stay regulated, because they're going to be much more likely to be regulated, to down regulate, so to speak, or
they won't react. They won't react as quickly to those stimuli in a way that the ABC, right? The antecedent is whatever behavior that they're observing is an antecedent to their behavior, which may result in a unwanted consequence.
And then can be a cycle.
It's a vicious cycle.
That that's my job, is to let parents know how to break that cycle. And if you make mistakes, again, repair, apologize, accountability. So those cycles, turn into cycles of connection.
Yeah. Is this, and I'm familiar with NLP, at least I know what it is. I actually have been very interested in learning more about it in my coaching practice. But is this what you mean by sharpening parents' intuition using NLP techniques?
Yes. Okay. And you know why, Kumar? Because when I get them into that feeling of, God, like openness is the best way I can describe it. Just open and light, when we're in that mode, our prefrontal cortex opens up, and there's probably other parts of our brain that open up too, but that's the one that comes to mind the most. And our creative efforts, our innovative efforts, our ability to visualize the future can become, like I said earlier, like we expand our options. So it's no longer I can either do this or this, A or B. It's A through Z, A through, you could say even infinity, different ways that parents can respond. The more that we can prepare for when, again, those opportunities, when stuff hits the fan, the more that we talk about, the more that we do visualizations, we get the body prepared, the more likely that parents will get rewarded from the response that they have with their children.
Yeah.
And there's just those aha moments of, oh, Johnny likes this. Oh, I could do this. Oh, he's liked this before in the past. And in a space of innovation, love, and empathy, it really, I'm either asking questions on how to guide them, or I'm letting them know and I'm guiding them to ways so they can get to that openness space in their bodies.
Yeah. What would you say is the biggest challenge modern parents face that traditional approaches or parenting support isn't addressing?
Yes, the emotional aspect, I would say. I mean, you mentioned here's strategy. If you're watching podcasts and TikToks, and they're only, and even reading books, they can only go so deep. And maybe, parents will say, oh yeah, I remember this a little bit. And maybe it'll be applied. For me, when parents come to see me and the modern parent and the modern challenges of, our attention is being on the phone or on work, it's just really scattered. One of the biggest things I preach is, and I'm going to say it now, this is one of the biggest turning points, is quality time with your loved ones. Quality time means, spending, it could be 5 minutes to even 15 minutes a day doing what they want to do, not trying to teach them, but really just immersing yourself in their world and almost being a kid again with them. And some parents are naturals. Some parents need just a little bit of coaching on that. But it's amazing what 5 to 15 minutes a day with, not having the phone on, obviously, just really just boom, attention on your kiddo. Cause I like to say that's their currency. You're depositing currency through your attention and time into their nervous system bank. I could call it body budget is another name for that.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I remember when my kids were little, we made it a point, and they still talk about this. We made it a point that no matter what, we would have dinner together.
Yeah.
One time during the day, we'd sit at a table. And this was, I'm old. I'm older, not old, but older. And my kids were growing up in the 90s, and 2000s. And so phones weren't what they are now, but still, there were still plenty of distractions in the 90s and 2000s. Right. Yeah. But that was the one sacred time that during dinner, we just talk about what happened that during the day, what was good, what were the challenges, and all of us. It wasn't just the kids. It was me and my wife and, all of us did the same thing.
Gosh, what a visual. Thank you for that. That's amazing. I've got a story of a teacher of mine, she said that her son, when he went to college, they did quality time. I think they called it something else, but when he went away to college, the first Sunday that was usually quality time, he goes, "Mom, I still need. Can we still do quality time?"
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because when my kids visit now, we do that. We will sit in the same positions as we used to when the kids were little,
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Wow.
And so it's like an old habit that feels warm. It feels like you're wearing a nice warm coat. It feels comforting that this has survived, this little tradition of ours.
Wow.
And I suppose every family has those things, but I think it probably extends beyond the family, that attention is, like, to your point, is the currency of the soul. And I remember teachers that gave me attention. I still remember them.
Yeah.
Mr. McSweeney, my geometry teacher, and
Mr. Reed, Miss Letterock. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because he paid attention to me and he took an interest in me, and so I still remember that, right? And so and I think it extends to, again, school as a young child, but even as a working adult, you tend to remember the relationships where people paid attention to you, or you pay attention to them without any hope for reciprocity. It's not like you're looking for something. You're just paying attention to help that person in some way. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. What a gift to give that to your child too. That, it's not transactional, it's conditional. I'm here because I want to connect with you. I'm interested in you. I was very fortunate to be in a school system where that was key. I felt like every teacher had that in the back of their head. And my parents as well. I mean, my mom was a really good active listener and validator. She doesn't know what validate means, but she can exemplify it. She had
intuition.
She had that. Oh man, very good intuition.
Yeah. Interesting. So, I would imagine that coaching parents would be sort of like a taboo thing. I mean, what parent's going to say, I need coaching?
I know.
How do you approach that?
It's a difficult thing to swallow, isn't it? Well, for me, I'm starting a group. It's called Parents Healing Parents, and it's on Facebook. And the one way that I kind of help parents without directing, like, hey, you need this, is come to the Facebook group. I've got a regular live stream. I post different resources. It's just starting out, so there's a couple resources. I think one actually at the time, but my Instagram is also full of videos and more resources for you to peruse, and really I want it to be, like you said, on every coffee shop. Like parent support. Now we live in a virtual age, so having go-to, hey, you don't have to read a whole book. Hey, you don't have to listen to a podcast that you might forget the next day, or a TikTok that same thing you might not really apply, but a community of parents that want to better themselves, that know that there's room for improvement. And in the group you can anonymously post, so your question will probably help a lot of other parents as well. And I really want to be as approachable and accessible as I can. And I figure Facebook group, Instagram posts, that those are ways to go. And then obviously, if you have any questions, like individual particular questions, let me know. I'm going to also post all the events that I'm going to be doing in the future. I'm already working on a workshop, you can call it, an event, educational event called Boost Confidence and Emotional Resilience with Ease. And and then I had another workshop that was anger, grief, and love. And so it was that more emotional intelligence based. And so I figured let's do some more, let's do some behavior based.
No, that's great. That was actually my next question. Your framework, your 3-part framework: anger, grief, and love. How did you come up with it, develop this understanding of the relationship between these things, these
Yes,
emotions?
from my own experience, I wasn't angry during times. I wasn't always angry, but during certain times, yeah, outbursts, I would be angry. And then came along some actually men's circles, men's groups. They're the, I think the first people that really taught me, hey, behind underneath this anger is a sad part that as males we have a hard time getting to, because it's not really acceptable to do that, and especially not in front of people. It can be even more difficult to do it alone. And so I was able to get to that kind of softer part of me, and I have this like visual that I put in my workshops too. Is anger is the tip of the iceberg, right? That's the secondary emotion, apparently, is what it's called. And underneath that is embarrassed, frustrated, humiliated, disgusted, even I think I said embarrassed, but sadness, depression is underneath that anger. And then underneath that is love. Is you can put you once you create that space, once you to me release the emotion through tears, through, you can even do it through physical activity. I myself have had so much space gutted from me, I guess you can say, that was not helpful to me. It was energy that was being kind of wasted. It wasn't effective energy. And so once I kind of got that out and I understood how to take care of myself a lot better, like all that stuff comes so much easier once guilt, shame is released, and there's a process for doing that.
That makes a lot of sense. I love the iceberg analogy, that what shows on the surface isn't always all that there is to an emotion.
Yeah.
That there's things that, it's kind of like the ABC thing, right? So
yeah,
what caused it?
Very connected. There's
Very
emotional
connected,
needs
yeah.
too. Yeah.
And so, even in my line of work, people don't really show their anger, but they do show it in different ways and different behaviors, like passive aggressive behaviors, and just unwilling to resistance. You feel the resistance, the unwilling to work with you on something or whatever. And so there's always a reason behind it. There's stuff under the iceberg, if you will, right? What you see on the surfaces and everything. So it definitely resonates with me.
And it's daunting to go there, Kumar. It takes a brave soul. It takes a courageous person to want to do that. And for me, I'm speaking about me personally. I'm doing it for my little son, my JJ. I'm doing it because I'm tired of the way that I used to react. I'm tired of that. And I know there's more to life, I guess you could say, as kind of general terms, but I felt and I still feel so much better after a big cry, after a big release. And I didn't know how to get to there, Kumar. I knew that was kind of like the promised land of like, oh, if only I could release this emotion. And now I have skills. Now it's a skill that I've sharpened, and I can guide myself to there. So it makes me easy. It makes it easier to guide and gently, guide parents there as well.
Makes sense. All right, we're running a little short on time, so I'm gonna ask you a couple of closing questions.
Great.
So if you could change one thing about how society approaches parenting support, what would that be?
Free. It needs to be free. It needs to be a government. There needs to be a government program and I'm working on that. Their nonprofit is the closest I'm going to get. There's actually a military program that I just saw this morning, kind of randomly and coincidentally, that is for parents and children. And so that struck my chord because we need it. And as soon as you go to the hospital for, hey, I'm going to have a baby, there needs to be not just hey, this is what is going to happen when your son or daughter is born, but also here's some mental health support, mental health and parental practices that can be very beneficial when it comes to behavioral techniques.
Yeah, I suppose the kind of coaching that you're talking about can really reverse generational trauma, right? Because things can get passed down from generation to generation. The way you were raised is how you end up inadvertently or unconsciously raising your children the same way, and that perpetuates from generation to generation. Do you see that as something that what you and people like you do can?
Those have been all of my clients, Kumar.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, that's my dad. My dad had a childhood. He calls it a broken childhood, and he didn't want that parenting style to come into our home. And so he consciously made a decision. He had my mom's dad, right? His father-in-law, to help guide him, but not everybody has that. Not everybody likes their in-laws. Not everyone likes how they grew up, and that's how we learned how to parent, and that's that's in our bodies already. So that's another one of my jobs, is to unprogram those things and then strengthen and sharpen the intuition that is already there from the beginning.
No, that's wonderful. What have I not asked you that you'd like to share?
I'd like to share that the U.S. Surgeon General has made an announcement. I don't know what it's formally called, but that parents are struggling right now after the pandemic. And even before the pandemic, I want to say, I just saw it recently, 41% of parents say that they are so overwhelmed that it's hard for them to do anything. And that means going to work, doing things that are connective with their children, but really providing for the home, right? So, and that's compared to I think, I don't know, 30% of adults or something like that. Or don't quote me on these figures, but the main thing is that we're in that situation in our country where parents should not feel alone because they're stressed out, because they're overwhelmed, because they just can't get up and provide or participate. And that's where that anger, grief part comes in, is that there's a way to release that. Yeah. So, that's really what I want parents to know, is those moments where you need the help. There's plenty of parent support out there. Please come and join my Facebook group, Parents Healing Parents. My Instagram at Jerrod with Balanced Parenting. Sorry, Kumar. I'm just I really want this to be don't
apologize. I want to get all your information. I'm going to put it in the show notes so that people that are watching this will have that as a reference to be able to contact you and get get the help that they need. And even if you're just curious about it, it's free to join. You should just join the Facebook group. And I might join. I'm a parent, although my kids are grown, and I'm hopefully will be a grandparent next year. But
We need your wisdom. Also, parents who yeah, you know, that's parents healing parents. That's what my vision is parents who have gone through it, who know, hey, this is how how I did it. This is how it turned out for us.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm going for too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're doing some amazing work, Jerrod. It's really needed in the world. And
thanks,
I
Kumar.
celebrate you. I thank you for your contributions to families. You know, it's going to make a difference in people's lives. So kudos to you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to do it. It's a lot of other things in the works right now, podcast with the live stream. So
yeah. Awesome. Well, let me know how I can help you. And I'm happy to, you know, sort of help you along your way. And with that, we will conclude this episode with Jerrod. Jerrod, thank you so much for being here. We probably need to have you back on because I have a lot of questions that I didn't get to ask you.
All right, let's do it.
But maybe we'll do that once your group is launched, and we'll have some more data as to the great successes you're having with that.
Very good.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much again. Thanks for watching. Talk to you all in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.